All right, what's going on? This is Richie Contartesi and Zach Carlin here from Next Play with another episode of Sales Leadership Ascension, where we share with you challenges that the sales leaders that we work with on a weekly basis are facing and how we've worked with them to overcome those challenges so you can too. This show is for you if you want to be elite, if you want to be an elite sales leader. This is not for you if you just want to get by or be average. It's for you if you want to be elite, want to be the best sales leader possible, help your team achieve what they want in their life in turn so that you can achieve what you want. So today's topic is going to be keeping your sales team executing consistently at high volume every day. All right. So to be able to do it every single day. So one of our clients was actually had an amazing week of volume from their sales team, but then the challenge came up of how do we keep them consistently doing that? Okay, and so one of the things that we teach in our platform and what we do with our clients are daily huddles. Now, these are not hour-long daily huddles. That might fall into a training bucket. These are specifically about your team to share what they're doing, to share the challenges that they're facing, and so that they can get reshifted, or recalibrated for that particular day and what they're going to do. So,
Absolutely, they have to have every day started off with a focus. Last thing you want especially your sales team to do is go into either every day, either trying to tackle everything at once and call everybody at once, or not knowing where to focus, just not knowing where to even start, and then end up doing nothing either way, or just not as much as you'd like, and not at the high of a level as they can.
Yeah, for sure. And but to even let's just take a step back, because to get them to that level of volume, we had to really solidify what were the activities by priority that that the salespeople needed to do. Like, who were they? So they make phone calls, and who are the phone calls that they're going to be making to who, right? Some of them were past clients, some of them were current clients, some of them were to get upgraded, some of them were, whatever. I don't remember exactly on hand, but what were all the different types of people that they needed to call, and they needed to get very clear on who those were and when they were going to do them so that they could get through them really quick. So that was number one. And then number two from there, how do we keep them to consistently maintain that volume? Because we basically doubled it. We went from 9,000 calls on average per week to 17,000. So that's really good volume. Like, that's what we're looking for. So then the question came up, well, how do we maintain that volume? Okay, so perfect. So one of the things that we've put together, and something that we teach every leader that we work with, are daily huddles. So Zach, from your experience and the clients you work with, how do you go about structuring the daily huddle? What does that look like?
Well, first of all, daily huddle should be very short. It should be higher energy. So another term that people will use for huddle is daily stand-ups. So be very, very short, very focused. So you have a team, even if you have a team of 10, it shouldn't take more than 15 to 20 minutes. You go around to each person, go over what was a win or what's something that went well the day before, right? Celebrate the wins first. And then you go around again. What's your focus for today? What do you got to do first? That's going to be your highest priority, your highest income earning activity first. And then you go down the list from there. And you want to make sure that they're very, very clear, right? And it's good for two things. First of all, it's just good to get your team together, get them focused for the day, get the energy going, and start the day off on the right foot. But it's also very good for you as a leader. You can see who, when you ask that question, what do you got? What's your focus for today? If they're not super clear, they're going to be stuttering, they're not going to be very sure, then you know proactively who you need to focus on and what you need to do next to get that person focused. You don't necessarily do it on that call or that meeting. That's not what that's for. But now you know who you need to focus on to get them started and to get their day off to a much more focused, productive start.
Yeah, totally. It's so important, and reading your team, but also and just adding to that, the energy that you bring to the table as a leader. You're almost like a motivational speaker. You really almost need to be because I've definitely have seen that in my huddles, that if my energy isn't at a certain level, then the team goes where the leader goes. So if your energy isn't at the level that it needs to be, your teams won't won't be either. So I think those are both really two good points of like when you're watching your team, like where's their energy at? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So starting these at a very high level, high energy, excited for the day, passionate about what you're doing, and they could feel that and get them, refocused on what they're going to do that day, right? What exactly are they going to do that day? There's no miscommunication as to what their goals are, what their key here, activity-based goal.
There we go.
Right?
There we go.
And let the results follow. But just being so clear on that. So how do we keep the volume? We like people, if you study psychology, like people tend to go like this really fast. They could be doing something, but if they don't have constant support and reinforcement of what they're doing, like they're gonna fall off, right? And so if we want to keep them executing at high volume and then do it consistently, we have to be always there. Now, when we say always there, I think one mistake we see here a lot is that, we'll speak with sales leaders and they're like, I'm always with my team. I'm always in there. I'm always motivating. I'm always telling them.
Micromanage.
It's like too much. It's too much. So when we say always there, I mean as a motivational presence. And then when you meet with them one-on-one, or you have pipeline reviews or trainings, that's when you can really dissect really the things they're doing and help them make adjustments. If you're making adjustments, I've posted many videos on this. If you're making adjustments with your team all the time, it's gonna take them so much longer to get better than narrowing that focus.
Yeah,
so
if you focus on too much, they focus on nothing.
Right.
Or they achieve nothing.
You brought up something recently about focus, and the importance of it on another call that we were on. And I think like if you look at the daily huddle, it's focus. It's about focus. It's refocusing them. They go home, they have things, they have kids, they have families, or if they're single, they have nightlife, they have all these things going on, right? Like for you, what is when you work with leaders, what do you do to keep their teams focused, to help them keep their teams focused?
Help them to keep their teams focused. Yeah. Well, first of all, I think one of the biggest things is buy-in to what they're being focused on. So let's say that their biggest income earning activity is this, right? It's getting them bought in the importance of focusing on that and the importance of getting better at that and improving upon that, as opposed to them breaking down their pipeline and then like, okay, we have all these people in your pipeline. Now we need to focus on this very different things for each person all the time, as opposed to focusing, okay, what's the one thing that they can improve upon or that they need to focus on right now, make a priority that will make the biggest overall impact. So it's focusing on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for some leaders, for a lot of leaders, to get over that fact. They're like, but they're calling this many people a day. Their pipeline's full of this many people.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Like there is a lot going on. I get that. But if you want to get the best out of your people and get them better consistently, you have to pick that one thing that's going to make the biggest impact. And it's up to you to find out what that is, to dig and coach them and find out what that is, and then make that the priority now. Don't try to be reactive all the time, right? When you're coaching somebody, it's really important to be proactive. If I solve this one thing, it'll make the biggest overall impact. And then once we have that, then we'll focus on the next thing, then the next thing, right?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I think like, that is, if you look at like the overarching purpose of the huddles is focus. It's purely focus. Like if you have your salespeople come in and they meander into the office and they meander into their calls, like, okay, so think about Wolf of Wall Street. You know what I mean? Like, what did he do? He came into the office. The dude gave like a motivational speech before every morning. I'm not saying do that because it's not interactive. The way that we teach to structure these huddles is interaction. You're going around the room. Everyone's talking. Then at the end, if you want to say something like motivational, go for it, right? Go for it. But that's what you're doing. Like, again, if you have people meandering in, starting their day, if they're remote and they're just like, if you're remote, this is like mandatory.
Super important.
They come in and like, what's your start time of the day is when this meeting starts, right? You want to start it maybe 15 minutes after. Okay, well, we hear all the time, well, we have people that come in at different shifts. Okay, so do 2 of them, or find the middle area between both shifts and do 1. You know what I mean? Like, there's different ways to do it. The way we structured it with this client is he has to do 2 because he has people that come in at different times. But it wasn't. It was always a thought that, oh, I can't do them because I have people that come in at different times. No, you can still do them. Just do 2. Uh, you could do 2 or split them up or split them between the shifts. If you can't do it exactly the start, but for best results, it's right in the morning, start of day, come in. And I will tell you from experience on this, the day will be 100% dictated on your energy as a leader.
Yeah, and the big thing I think to keep aware of during those huddles is that the time. It has to be, even if you have, because one of the other objections I get to that is I have too many people on my team. Let's say 15, 20 people on our team. It can be tough to do that.
We need to restructure.
First of all, that's a lot of people on your team, but sometimes they can't help it, right? It is what it is, but
Right.
It's still very important to do that. But it's that huddle is not a time to solve problems, right? It might be a time to see if there are problems to solve, but that's not where you solve the problem. So one of the big things that we see with even if they have 10 people on their team, 5 people on their team, or 20 people on their team, like, oh, it's supposed to be 15 minutes, but end up being 45 minutes because they get off track. This is just to get them focused for the day. This isn't to solve problems. This isn't a weekly meeting. That's what that's for, right? You have a different meeting cadence. This is just to get focused for the day and to get ahead of issues that could arise or challenges that could arise proactively for the day.
Yeah, and if you have like chatty Cathy, like you have to really prepare them for this session and saying that this is purely for you to share. We're going to go around the room and everyone's going to share 1 win from the day before. And then we're going to go around the room and everyone's going to share their next play for today. What's their focus for today, right? So they come prepared. So when you say, okay, Zach, okay, John, okay, like they're going to go around and everyone's going to share their win. And they're going to go around and everyone's going to share their focus for today. And if you need to have a conversation after, right? But doing it during the meeting will stall everything. And then, we've seen companies that do like hours of long meetings in the mornings like this. Like, that's not going to work.
Yeah, it just stalls.
Yeah. If you're doing trainings in the morning where you're doing like script role plays for 30 minutes hard, that's different. That's cool. Do that. That's a different conversation. But if this is purely for focus, right? Team goes out, team goes home at the end of the day. They have wives, they have families, they have husbands, if they're single, they might go out at night, dates, whatever. They come in the morning, whatever baggage that they have or distractions is a better word, stays at the door. And we're in the office now, and it's time to work. It's time to help the people on your team achieve the goals that they have in their life. Everything else is just a distraction.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think another kind of facet of keeping people consistently hitting the volume every day is finding out if they're not doing it, finding out why they're not doing it. Because a lot of times I've noticed that it could just be if we have somebody who's not making enough calls during the day, it could be like their confidence in the script or their confidence in their ability to do the calls too is just not there. So they're very hesitant. So they take a lot more time between calls doing research and that kind of stuff than they need to doing other things outside of their prioritized activities because they're just not confident in it. And that's another big thing for the huddles is to be able to recognize that
confidence
as well.
Yeah. Think of okay, in football before every play, and Zach brought up a good point. In football before every play, the team gets in a huddle, you share the play, and everyone goes break, right? You don't go around and say, what was the win from the last play? What's your focus on this play? So we're just kind of expanding out on that. But when the huddle breaks, everyone's now focused. 1, they know the play. Everyone knows their play. And 2, they're confident because they know the play, right? Because you might say the play in the huddle and a player might say, well, I don't know what to do on that play.
Mhm.
So you could tell them, right? So they leave with confidence, and that's how you want your team to leave. Is when the huddle breaks, everybody leaves the meeting with confidence. They're at their desk, they're banging the phones, they're sending emails, whatever their activities are, right? They're on it. And so Zach brought up a good point, which is like they breed confidence, focus, and confidence every day, every single day. It never ends. That stops, your team stops. You stop it, your team stops. It's like it's it's clockwork. Now you may have that top 5% elite performer that doesn't necessarily need it, but I will say this, over a course of a year, I don't care how elite you are, a lot of times those people get complacent, or a lot of times they have things in their life and they really still need that. They still need that accountability. Tom Brady still needed the accountability. Like, so, we hear that quite often, and to, I guess, to battle that, I would say everybody still wants it. Maybe not every single day, but if you want your entire team to perform consistently every day, you have to do it every day. Your team goes with you. The second you stop is the second they will eventually drift off.
Yeah, and you have to keep, even if you have high performers that might seem like they're getting to that point where they're complacent, they've had a lot of success, and they're just kind of riding. They have a good book of business and they're riding it out, whatever it is. It's still very important to challenge them, right? And during those huddles, it's a good place to challenge them too, or to find out that they need to be challenged ahead of time, because you can tell in their tone. You can tell with, they maybe they say the same thing every day, like, okay, I need to focus on this, and this, and it becomes monotonous. Yeah. And now you can know proactively, okay, I need to challenge this person, because even if you're in a sales role, you're competitive, right? Your income relies on your performance. So for you as a leader to get ahead of that and challenge them and keep them stimulated, it definitely helps keeping them performing at that high level, and maybe pushing further than what they previously maybe thought they could or wanted to.
Yeah.
Right. If you keep them stimulated like that.
Love it. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I think we covered quite a bit here. If you're just joining now, thank you, but definitely watch from the beginning where we break down a process of keeping your sales team executing consistently at high volume every day, right? So I hope you enjoyed the show. I don't see any questions. I see some Facebook user. There's something with Facebook that you have to like put in your name in order for it to come through. But good morning, Richie, Zach, Rubrek. Okay, thank you for the kind words. And then another Facebook user. So thank you all for chatting. I don't see any questions today. So we're going to end this session. But thank you all so much for being here, where we do this every single Friday morning. Today's Thursday because tomorrow's a holiday. And we share with you the challenges that the sales leaders that we work with are facing and how we overcame those challenges. So hope you enjoyed the show, and I will see all of you on the next one.
See ya.
Adios.